We're all part of the same community. We all want to explore on our bikes. We all want to be out there. We all want to be part of a challenge, right? We want these life-changing experiences.
Hey friends, Sheila here. Welcome back. I am a nutritionist and bicycle traveler, and I am so excited today because I'm welcoming my very first guest onto my channel. Today I am so excited to be chatting with Eva from TDA Global Cycling. They are a Canadian bike touring company that offers supported bike tours all across the world. And we're going to be chatting all about the difference between supported or guided tours versus unsupported or self-guided tours. I am just so passionate about more people being able to get on their bikes and explore more of this beautiful world. And I think it's incredible that there's such a variety of ways to do it. I am so excited to be able to chat with Eva today so that whether you are planning your first bike tour or your 10th, you can really understand the difference between supported and unsupported and pick the experience that feels right for you. All right, let's get going. Hi Eva, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So I understand that you have experience as a bicycle traveler doing unsupported bike tours, and now you work for TDA Global Cycling, which does supported bike tours. So yeah, I would just love to hear from you kind of what you think of as the differences between supported and unsupported bike touring.
Yeah, well, there's huge differences. For the main one that I find to be, or I would say I'll start with, your gear getting carried for you. It's a game changer. And I know for myself, one of my biggest challenges when I would solo tour was managing where I was going to sleep every night. You know, because some nights you're like, oh, we'll go all the way to this town, and then you get 3 flats and it's raining, and then you're like, we're not going to go to that town, and now we don't know where we're going to go or where we're going to sleep. So those are huge differences. You know, a lot of people say the best thing about a fully supported tour is that you can just ride. You know, you're not getting grumpy thinking, oh, I'm starving. Like, we got to find a grocery store, or what are we going to do? Everything's just set up for you. So it's a game changer.
That makes sense for sure. And so what would you say are like, especially for somebody that's kind of like new to bike touring, is just getting into it, what are some of the reasons that they might choose to do a supported bike tour?
Yeah, so sort of those reasons plus some others that I just mentioned, not having to worry, maybe you're nervous about all the what ifs. You know, when I did all those solo tours, you know, I was young and naive, and it didn't scare me that I didn't know where I was going to sleep, or, you know, if anything happened, you're just going to figure it out. But some people, you know, don't want to do that. That might be holding them back from doing a cycle tour, all the what ifs and the worrying. And so that's one of the reasons why someone might decide to do a supported tour. And again, to just not have to worry about it. A big reason also, you know, with TDA, we go to places that you might not want to cycle tour on your own. You know, you may not want to go to Africa and be venturing out by yourself in this area, and it might not even be safe depending where you're going. And that's another reason why sometimes people will choose to go with us, especially on those kind of tours, the expedition style tours, because you know, you already have the, you know, what ifs and the unknowns, and then maybe safety, language barriers, those sort of things come in hand. So they might choose to go with us because then, you know, you have people that are from that area, as our local guides are always usually locals in that area, or they've been doing tours in that area for many, many years. So you're in good hands.
Yeah, that's super cool to have that kind of, that wisdom guiding you along the way, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you go on a trip, and it's such a game changer when you have a friend in that place. You know, like the first time I went to New York City, it was a lot of wandering around. And then the second time I linked up with a friend, and it was a completely different experience. And they both have their pros and cons, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. And with like supported guided tours, like what TDA does, yeah, like you said, they're carrying your bags, they're supporting you in the ride aspect. Do you get some support in kind of like the experience aspect as well, in like tips for where to go see or what to know about this area and that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we definitely do. For one thing, because our tour guides are so experienced in the area, they are just full of information. So we're going to give you information before the tour. We give you reading list recommendations. We have face group chats for everyone to join, and people can add information of things they found. So the riders can actually share information they found. We'll have information bulletins with info about where you're going. And when I talk to people, I always help encourage them to do their own research too. So we'll give you some info, and then you also have your own research. But we'll definitely give you some tips on what to do. We always plan the rest days, if we can, depending where we are, in areas where there's a lot of fun stuff to do. And then the tour leader will give you a heads up, this is a rest day, you're at the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon's right there, there's hiking here. So yeah, you definitely get some of that too.
Cool, that's super awesome. And do you find, because I found doing solo bike touring, some of the really special moments were meeting other cyclists and riding with them for a few days, and I love the experience of being on my own, but it's also super cool to meet other people. Do you find the riders often have activities together and go see things together and that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. That's another good question, because sometimes people are nervous because they want to do the tour, but they don't have a friend to go with them, or their partner's not a cyclist. And they think, I'm trying to find a friend. And that should never be a reason to not go, because you're going to instantly bond with people, right? It happens on a solo ride, and it happens more in these group rides, because, people worry, well, what if I'm not fast enough? There's going to be someone else on the tour that's kind of on the same page as you. And it's like anything. It's like when you start your first day at school, and you start to figure out the people who are kind of like you or on the same page, and you just naturally are bonded and start hanging out and having lunch together. And that happens on our tours for sure. And many of our riders talk about how they've made some of their most lifelong, closest friendships from being on our tours.
Aw, that's really lovely.
Yeah, and even meeting the locals too, it happens all the time, where it's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing with cycle touring, like you said, as a whole.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've already touched on some of the great reasons why, somebody who's new to bike touring might be interested in kind of sorts out some of those what ifs, which I love, because I feel when I make videos, I often hear from people that are I'm really interested in bike touring, but I'm scared about this and I'm scared about this. And it's really nice to kind of address those and find the solution. And I think for a lot of people, a supported tour could ease some of those fears so that eventually they could do a solo bike tour if that's what they want to do. Do you have people on your tours that are experienced bike tourers and choose to do a supported tour, and kind of what are their reasons for choosing that?
Yeah, so I don't know what the percentage would be, but very often when I'm talking to either new riders or our alumni, they often are like, oh, I'm planning on doing this tour with you, but I'm actually on the road right now doing my own tour and just stopped in a hotel. So we get a lot of that, and it's really cool, because there are some tours that you want to do solo, that you can confidently do solo. And then there's the tours where you don't want to do it by yourself. You want that extra support. And it can be for multiple different reasons, like I mentioned, maybe where you're going or how long the tour is. The logistics to plan a 3-month tour, that can be a bit of a headache. Some people love planning that kind of stuff, and some people don't. So we definitely have a huge mix of people who, some of them only do supported tours, some of them do both. Some people have never done a supported tour, have only done solo, and then now decided, now they want to do supported. They just want someone to carry their bag. So it's definitely a big mix of people, and people that do like doing both, for sure. Yeah.
That's super cool. I feel like you've touched on so many of the different aspects. I think one thing that can sometimes maybe hold people back from supported is there is a greater financial investment than unsupported. What are some of the things that people can think of that money going towards when they do a supported tour?
Yeah. So for one thing, it's the pre-tour support. So tons and tons of information to get you ready for the tour. So we're going to give you advice on how to apply for your visas. We give advice, packing lists. We give advice about where you're going. All about 8 months before the tour, we're just giving you constant information and support on how to get ready because it can be really overwhelming. So that's a huge aspect, and that's like part of my job. And we have a whole team that's dedicated to supporting people and helping you get ready. So when you have that moment and you think, oh my God, like how do I get a visa for China? Like how am I going to do this? It could be really overwhelming. We're here to help you, and we're here to give you some guidance. We even supply letters of support to help get you approved for your visas. So that is part of the process. And again, we have super experienced, amazing staff that know these areas so well. If you had to hire someone to even, be a host or to take you as a tour guide, think about it. That is a huge cost on its own. And then our meals, safe place to sleep every night. So we have a chef on our camping tours, so you're not just having to like pull over and eat like a bag of chips. Like we have a chef that is catering meals, nutritious for everyone on the tour, which is awesome. And then just the overall group support that you get. So it's unlike anything else. It's amazing. And again, it comes down to your priorities, and maybe it's worth spending a little more when you don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about meals. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to sleep. I don't have to worry about anything. They're going to take care of everything for me, and I get to ride. So when it comes down to that, there's definitely a price difference of doing it on your own, and it just depends. It depends on what kind of trip you want to do and what you're up for, but the price definitely includes a huge amount of support pre, during, and then after. And again, we do discounts for alumni. We have all sorts of great stuff when you become part of our little fam.
That's cool. And I think also, right, you have mechanics and a medical or doctor or medical person as well.
Yeah, on tour. Those are going to be on our expedition style tours.
Right.
And then we always have the mechanic there if something goes wrong. But it's a cycle tour, so you are expected to be able to change your own flat. But yeah, exactly. We have a full support system: medics, the bike mechanic, the chef, a sweep rider. You're never going to get left behind. There's always someone back there. So there's many, many things. Yeah.
That's good. I think especially for somebody who's maybe really excited about touring, with some of your expedition tours, doing somewhere that's more rural, and the idea of having your bike break down or having a medical issue, that would definitely. I know when I did my first bike tour, my family was so worried. It would have probably made them feel much better if I had a medic on the way, but no, that's definitely that's a great asset for sure. Are there any other primary benefits or differences that you would say that we haven't touched on between the two forms of bike touring?
I think in the end, you don't have to choose. You don't have to be am I a solo tour person or am I a supported tour person? You can do both. You can cook at home and you can also get takeout sometimes,
Yes.
It's totally we're all part of the same community. We all want to explore on our bikes. We all want to be out there. We all want to be part of a challenge, right? We want these life-changing experiences. So you do that solo, do it with us. Either way, it just depends on what kind of challenge you're up for at whatever time it is in your life. So I think that's an important thing, is that you don't have to choose. You can do both,
Oh my gosh, I love that. I feel like that's the perfect way to end this, because that's exactly it, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly it. There are so many ways to bike tour, and it's all about figuring out what's going to make you happy, what's going to make you have the experience you want, and constantly changing that and evaluating that. 1 year you can be you know what, I need this planning taken care of. I have too much going on. The next year you can be I really want to be independent and figure it out myself. And you can just keep bouncing back and forth. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Eva. This has been so wonderful to chat with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. It was fun.
Well, that's it for today, friends. I hope you found this video helpful. I absolutely love what Eva said about the fact that you don't have to choose. One of my favorite expressions in bike touring is ride your own ride. And I just love it because there are so many ways to explore an adventure by bike. You know, if you're really excited to plan and do it on your own, or if finances are a concern and you need to try to do it in a more budget-friendly way, then unsupported bike touring might be the right fit for that trip. Or you might be new to bike touring and you just need that little bit of extra support to get confident and comfortable bike touring. Or you might want the community or supports offered by supported guided bike touring. And like Eva said, you don't have to choose. I think it's all about being curious with yourself and exploring what experience you want to have from your bike tour. And then looking at the many options that are available to you and planning the trip that feels right for you. If you want to find out more about TDA Global Cycling, I will leave a link below. And I also did an interview over on their YouTube channel that you can check out where I chat about my experiences bike touring and why I'm really excited about the idea, once it's possible again, to work with them one day on their bike tours, because I am so passionate about the idea of being able to help more people explore the world by bicycle. If you like this video and you found it helpful, please give it a like. It really supports the channel. And if you want to be notified whenever I put out new videos, you can hit subscribe and the little bell below. And if you want more tips and adventures more regularly, you can follow me on Instagram at sheila.daily. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.